Hi everyone and welcome to Bear Clooney Watches channel. On this channel, as many of you know, we are usually searching for perfect timepiece and we certainly enjoy that search. Today, a little bit different subject. For those who are not familiar with the term shitter, in the horological world, this term was coined by Archie Luxury. Horological pontiff, governor's governor. But you know what? I had a conversation with Cliver a couple of nights ago, and this topic, this subject came up. Often in our world of watch collecting, we see people pulling that trigger very easy. And giving the name shitter to watch they don't either understand, they simply don't agree with the aesthetics or design, they find the movement to be inadequate in their opinion, and the term itself became a different meaning for different person. So rather than having a universal meaning behind it, it became nothing more, nothing less, but a very convenient way to insult someone's watch. It could be insult just resulting because we don't like the person, or it could be an insult just because we don't like that brand. It has nothing to do with the quality watch. I think originally when Archie came up with this term, had the idea that this term will define watches which do not meet minimum standards in the eyes of majority of the people in our hobby, watch collecting hobby. I don't want to say horology because it's a much broader term. It's a term of studying a time. This is really a term used by watch geeks, watch fans, watch fam, whatever you want to call it. So I think the original idea behind it was to find a term which is kind of comical and direct, and in the same time describes the watch that doesn't meet minimum standards, minimum requirements. And then it got deformed. And it got deformed rudimentary, even being used by that person who actually coined the term, by Archie himself. I mean, Tag Heuer at one time was described by Archie as the ultimate shitter. Yet he truly enjoyed his Monaco and thought it's a great watch in some ways. So it comes down really to, in my opinion, understanding that deformation that was created in the aspect of how we view the world, it doesn't mean anymore what it originally meant. It doesn't mean that this is the watch that doesn't meet minimum requirements. It actually means that me personally, I don't like that watch, or I don't like you, and I'm going to call your watch, consequently calling you a shitter. So it's a very ugly term. I believe that every watch in some ways has something positive and something that is supposed to be viewed as inspiring from the perspective of someone who appreciates and loves watches. So there are many of those who despise, they hate homage watches. Let's take, for example, Steinhardt. Very divisive brand. Fact is, it's built really well. Fact is, the movement is solid at a movement. Fact is, it's not a shitter. And it's not a replica. It's simply inspired and designed as an homage to Rolex Sub, let's say. Not the only watch. We have a Parnis, we have a Ginault. There are many of those. Some people simply refuse to debate from the perspective of they don't like homage, and they will call these watches shitters. I don't think they're shitters. So where is that line? Where do we go? How far and deep do we have to go, in my opinion, to call a watch shitter? Is it maybe a fashion watch, such as Movement or Daniel Wellington or some of those Alibaba specials, Chinese quartz generic watches, which basically put the name of the fashion brand and sell for much higher price than it should be? Well, probably. Probably those are shitters. Yeah, I would say so. However, even they could have a positive effect on a person that's maybe starting to appreciate watches on the wrist. It could be beginning of something really special. There are people who might call quartz watches shitters because they have no soul, which is also nonsense. There's some really fantastic watches which are quartz. I'm wearing one today, Bulova Moon watch, which I definitely don't consider being a shitter. And then you can argue this point. I mean, guy who collects Pateks and APs and watches of a much higher value, he could be calling Orises or even Rolex and Omega shitters. It's a really dangerous subject. It's a dangerous word to be abused. And it's insulting. And it doesn't do any favors to our hobby. Shitter is, in its original meaning, meant to describe something inadequate for a genuine watch lover. It actually got deformed, and now it describes simply what individual doesn't like. Your individual tastes matter nothing. They are individual for a reason. They're your own opinions, your own tastes. So you know what? You are not in position, and even the pontiff, horological pontiff himself is not in a position to give attribute that stands forever as a shitter. I'll give you an example. I am the one who sins as well in the aspect of the horology approach. There is a watch I despise, and I'll tell you why. The watch is Frederic Constant. I despise that they are trying to be something they're not. I despise that they're masquerading as a better brand than what they really are. But they're not shitter. I just don't like their approach. So I would, by default, and by new standards in the horology world, just call that brand shitter. Would I be right? Probably not. No, not probably. I'm wrong. They're not shitters. They are decent watches. Fact that they are masquerading and pretending to be Vacheron Constantin, which is quite obvious, is besides the point. So address the issue exactly as is and explain, describe, be descriptive in your approach, and let people who are communicating with you know what you dislike about certain brand or what exactly doesn't sit well with you when it comes to specific watch. The hatred for Invicta. Oh my God. So easy to hate Invicta because we picture this big, large watch that is just not suitable for what we consider to be refined and distinguished and whatever. It's a watch with actually decent history, with some really beautiful vintage pieces, and they still produce some decent watches. I mean, I can give you example after example. But in reality, what comes down to summarize this, try to be careful when you're using the word shitter. you expressing your personal opinion. And if you dislike something which you're completely entitled to not to like, try to explain why you don't like specific brand or specific watch. Your point of view will be much more acceptable, and you probably will actually be able to get attention and to be heard and to get your point across by simply making a statement that watch is a shitter. Well, you are building a wall immediately. And because of that use, original meaning of this word has been lost completely. So I just wanted to give my point of view on shitter as a term in our watch collecting world, hoping that maybe some of you will understand what I'm trying to say. And maybe let's start treating each other with a little more respect, with a little more understanding. And I'm not saying love every watch, but try to be a little more refined in your approach, a little more specific. Measure your words. Be relevant when you're actually providing comment on specific brand or watch. And don't create everything into being a troll or being a negative person. That's Bear Clooney's advice for all of you. And let's call this Bear Clooney Standard. Bear Standard. All the best to all of you, and have a wonderful day.